Hello everyone, this is Ahmed Hamdi. It gives me pleasure to present to you this lecture about the International Council of Ophthalmology exams. In this lecture, we will go through the importance of International Council of Ophthalmology exams, the different parts and how to apply for them, the study sources, and the difference or the new regulations of the ICO exam, and finally we will discuss the ICO course for both basic and the clinical parts. So let's start with why ICO. The International Council of Ophthalmology exams has gained much more popularity than ever because of some new regulations that occurred in the last few months. The first of all, that the ICO now has become your winning horse for the GMC registration. You now can apply for the General Medical Council registration and be able to apply for jobs in the UK using the ICO exams with the language test, either it's IELTS or OET. This wasn't the case before. Before, the ICO exams was just a name that could entitle you a title called Fellow of International Council of Ophthalmology without any significance from the clinical perspective. But now the ICO exam, after its in new collaboration with the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh, can entitle you the name of member of Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh, and so you can apply with this membership through General Medical Council and be able to apply for jobs in the United Kingdom. The second very important value of the ICO exam is that it gives you special consideration when you are applying for the ICO fellowships. The ICO fellowships are training programs that has been designed for young doctors from developing countries so that they can gain opportunity to upgrade their skills in centers of excellence in ophthalmology all over the world. So if you wanted to travel to some to a country with for a specific specialty like cornea or vitreoretinal or oculoplastics, then the ICO can give you an opportunity from 3 months to 1 year of fully funded experience to go to these centers and apply for training there. So what they require from you is that you having passed the ICO exams, which will give you a special consideration and a specific or a special privilege. The third very important and the striking feature or the striking news about the ICO, that it has become now one of the important and the fastest route to GMC registration, as we mentioned earlier. So how is this? Previously we used to have two routes for the General Medical Council registration. The first one is that either if you have the FRCS Glasgow, or you have the Glasgow route or the Edinburgh route. So how can we go through the Glasgow route if you have the first ICO or its equivalent, which is the FRCS Glasgow, the first part? Then after 5 years of experience, you passed the second part, which is the FRCS Glasgow part 2, which consists of problem solving and MCQ. Then you passed the third part of the fellowship of Royal College of Surgeons of Glasgow. So now you are a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons, and then you can apply for registration. Some doctors used to have a shortcut, which is after passing the first part, you apply for the second part of ICO so that you can save some time till you complete your 5 years experience to be eligible for problem solving exam. Then after passing the problem solving test, you set for the third part of the FRCS Glasgow, and now if you passed it, then you have the fellowship and you can apply for GMC registration. The second route is through the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh. So you basically pass the first part of this exam, then you pass the second part, and the second part is an oral and clinical exam. So you have the membership of Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh, and with this membership you can apply for GMC registration. Some doctors would prefer to proceed to the third part also, and if they pass the third part, they can have the name Fellow of Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh, and of course again it gives you the membership, or sorry, the fellowship and the registration of General Medical Council. Few months ago, there was a collaboration between the International Council of Ophthalmology and the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh has been announced. According to this regulation, the first part of Edinburgh and the second part of Edinburgh has been cancelled, so they no longer exist anymore, but they were replaced with the ICO exam. So basically the first ICO replaced the first part of Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh exam, and the second ICO replaced the second Edinburgh exam. This means that the second ICO can give you the membership of Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh, but these regulations mention that this route is eligible only for doctors who will sit for the first ICO in 2019. So in the next April, if you are sitting for the first ICO and in the April 2020 you sit for the second ICO and you passed both of them, so now you are eligible to apply for membership of Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh. But what about the doctors who already have the first ICO and want to apply for the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh membership? Then they will have to sit for the second ICO. After this, they will have to sit for the advanced ICO test, and this advanced ICO test will give them the Edinburgh membership. So if you are sitting for the second ICO in the next April, then you after passing it, you have to sit for the advanced ICO test to be eligible for membership of Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh. In either cases, whether you obtained the membership with the second ICO alone or with the advanced ICO, you can proceed to the Fellowship of Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh, the third part exam, which can, if you passed it, it will give you the name Fellow of Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh. So this was the regulations or the new regulations between the ICO and the Edinburgh. So as you can see now, the second ICO, it's a common station between the FRCS Glasgow pathway and the FRCS Edinburgh pathway. So if you have the ICO, you can now proceed to either tracks of either Glasgow or Edinburgh to achieve your goal. So these are some of the main features of the ICO which make them or make the ICO exams of very useful for an ophthalmologist for his professional career. Okay, so let's now talk about the differences between the old system and the new system of the International Council of Ophthalmology exams. The new regulations also set new criteria for the exams that was different or that is different from the criteria of ICO exams in the previous years. So let's see what is the difference between both of them. First, the name. The name of the exam has changed. For example, the first part or the what's so-called the basic sciences has changed to visual science, and theoretical optics and refraction it changed to optics, refraction and instruments. Clinical science has changed to clinical ophthalmology. Advanced exam has the same name. So is it only about the name? No, the structure also has changed. The number of questions has changed and the duration of exam has also changed. For the basic science, it was 80 MCQs, single best answer of 4 options in 2 hours. while the new exam is called Visual Science. It has 120 MCQs of single best answer of 4 options for 3 hours. So 40 questions has increased for an extension of more than of an hour more than the previous exam. The theoretical optics and refraction has also changed. Also, the number of questions has increased from 40 to 60. It's also single best answer of 4 options, and the duration of exam has increased from 1 hour to 1.5 hours. The clinical science also changed to clinical ophthalmology, or it is just the name. However, the structure of the exam hasn't changed. It is the same number of questions, about 200 questions of single best answer of 4 options. It is for 4 hours. The advanced exam hasn't changed in the either in the name or the structure. It is 10 extended matches questions which contain 75 context setting description, either graph or images that you have to describe. It has also single best answer of 4 options, but what has changed is the frequency of the exam, as it is used to be one time or once yearly, but now it has become twice in the year. So these are the difference between, or this is now the new system, or the system that has to be applicable from the next exam, which will take place next April 2019. So let's see the curriculum of both of all International Council of Ophthalmology exams. The first part, or the visual science part, will cover the anatomy of eye and the orbit and related structures, embryology, neuroanatomy, vision and ocular physiology, biochemistry and cell biology, pharmacology, epidemiology, statistics, genetics, pathology, and microbiology. Part B, which is the optics, refraction, and instruments, will cover these topics. The clinical ophthalmology, or Part C, will cover general medicine related to ophthalmology, community and public health, pathology and tumors, neuroophthalmology, pediatric ophthalmology and strabismus, orbit, eyelids, lacrimal disease, external disease and the cornea, intraocular inflammation and uveitis, glaucoma, lens and cataract, and retina and vitreous. The advanced examination will cover lens and cataract, cornea and external disease and refractive surgery, glaucoma, neuroophthalmology, ophthalmic pathology, oculoplastic surgery and orbit, pediatric ophthalmology and strabismus, vitreoretinal diseases, uveitis and ocular inflammation, ocular oncology, low vision rehabilitation, ethics and professionalism in ophthalmology, and finally the community eye health. So you'll find that the advanced exam is more or less similar in curriculum to the clinical ophthalmology exam, with slight differences. So let's come to the study sources. Many of us become confused from the different study sources that is available for all of these exams, and doesn't know how to start, and what are the books of extreme value and what are the books that may make him or her lose valuable time studying them. So let's start first with the ICO, or the first part, or the basic sciences textbooks. For the anatomy, the snail's eye anatomy is of a very good value, as it cover most or all the curriculum of the exam, as it cover the anatomy of the eye, the orbit, the intraocular structures, and also the anatomy of the bony skull, the cranial nerve tract, and the paranasal sinuses. There are a lot of text they are available, or notes. For example, if you are in Egypt, there is Dr. Muhammad Omar notes. They are good for the exam, but they lack the part of cranial nerves, skull, and paranasal sinus. So if you are going to study from your previous study sources, or from your notes, Be sure or make sure that you will add these topics from Snell's eye anatomy as they are commonly asked in the exam. So one piece of advice to stick to here is to always follow the curriculum. So you have to study by the curriculum and not to miss any topic. So for anatomy, embryology, you will study from Snell's eye anatomy. For optics, also you have some notes that are available, like Dr. Muhammad Omar notes, or you can study from the Elkington Clinical Optics book. It is a very good book, well organized, and it will cover most of the curriculum of the ICO. However, there are some topics that you may not find it in Elkington, so you can study from them from the American Academy of Ophthalmology Clinical Optics. So the clinical optics from American Academy of Ophthalmology will be your reference guide for the optics. Then you have the physiology. Again, physiology has also many sources or many notes that are available. You can study from them, or you can study from Qurana. It is a nice organized book about the anatomy and physiology of the eye. You can study the part of physiology from Qurana. For the rest of or the small branches that are examined in the or tested in the exam, like pharmacology, genetics, microbiology, and pathology, or specifically general pathology, you can study them from this nice and well illustrated book, which is called Basic Science for Ophthalmology. It is a very concise book and very efficient. It is good for those have time constraints or have a limited time for study, as it will save you a lot of time in studying. If you are having much more time and you want to study from a more comprehensive source, then you have the book, the iBook by Forrester. This iBook, it is very useful, but its problem that it is long and it will take much time in studying it. You have to study it more than once to be able to comprehend all information in it. And its problem also, it has a tough or difficult language, so you will need some time to get used to its the structure of sentences and the paragraphs, and so you have to read it more than once, as I told you. So if for most doctors, they leave the iBook for just for reference, and you don't need to study it word by word. However, it follows the curriculum as its shadow. So what is more important than studying? The more important than studying is solving MCQ. Basically, practice is the key of success of this exam. So there are many MCQ books also in the market, and you may be also confused in which MCQ book will give you much more benefit. So from my opinion, the Master Pass is the first book to solve for this exam. It's called MCQs for FRCOF and ICO Basic Science. This book will cover all chapters. It is a very organized book, as it covers chapter by chapter for and give you both MCQs and true or false questions, which are no longer present in the exam. However, they are good for practice. So this is the first book to start with. Then you have the Arnold series, Arnold Basic Sciences, and Arnold Optics and Refraction, which has good quality questions in both of them. So I recommend you that you go to both of them after you finish the Master Pass. After this, there is the Behan book for MCQs and OSCEs in optics and refraction. It may be a slight more difficult than the previous books, but it is important, as the optics exam sometimes has tough and difficult questions that you need to practice earlier before the exam, and Behan book can give you this opportunity. Then there are two books by Showa. MCQs in basic sciences, and MCQs of optics and refraction, which also I recommend them, especially the optics and refraction part, as it's again well organized by chapter, so you can study a chapter and solve MCQs and don't have to wait until you finish the whole optics to solve MCQs. So if you finish the refraction, you can solve MCQs. You finish the lenses and mirrors, you can solve MCQ on them. You finish the instruments, so the questions are in continuous categories. Okay, then if you have some time, then you can pass through this very good book, which is called FRC of Part 1, 400 single best answers questions, and the CRQs questions, which are specifically for the first part of FRC of the exam. This CRQs questions, which are kind of essay questions, are not present in the ICO exam. So if you have some time, it is very good book to revise your knowledge. And finally, there are two books by John Ferris, which is the Basic Science in Ophthalmology and its MCQ book. Well, this book has been outdated because it was, I think it was issued in the 19th, so it's about more than 20 years. So most of its knowledge has been, I will not say it is outdated, but the exam's structure has become more different than the information and the structure of questions present in this book. So, from my opinion, I don't recommend it for your first revise or first revision. It is as it will not give you a time effective study, because it will take much time, and the knowledge or the exam structure doesn't come as it is in this book in the exam. But the MCQ Companion to the Eye, it is a good book if you want to practice solving MCQs. It has 4 mock tests consisting of all basic sciences disciplines that present in the exam, so you can test yourself and have a stress-free experience by solving these 4 mock tests. Now let's come to the clinical textbooks. Again, the clinical textbooks for clinical part of the exams are plenty, and you may also get confused what to choose and what is the most beneficial to save your time. Well, there is a common consensus about ophthalmologists that Kansky Clinical Ophthalmology is the gold standard book for preparation for ophthalmology exams and for gaining solid knowledge in clinical ophthalmology. It is very concise, very beautifully illustrated with high quality images. That is very important in the context of exam, as the exam containing images, slides, cases, and investigations that you may have to interpret, and you will not be able to do so if you don't have such high quality images through your study. This is in contrary to the Oxford Handbook, which again is a concise book, as each topic is about 1 to 2 pages, but the problem is that it lacks image. So you can't depend on this source alone, but you have to supplement it with either images from Kansky book or any decent ophthalmic atlas that you have. After you finish your study from Kansky or Oxford, then there are 2 books that's called the Review of Ophthalmology. The first book called The Review of Ophthalmology by Friedman. The second book is by Kenneth Wright. These books are very good to consolidate your knowledge, as it makes the comparisons and the illustrations of the different disease in a concise form, and allow the information of ophthalmic diseases to be more connected to each other through comparison and through review. Then for the general medicine related to ophthalmology part of the exam, you have this book called Update on General Medicine issued by the American Academy of Ophthalmology Basic and Clinical Science course. This book will cover the general medical diseases that has relation to or have relation to ophthalmology so that you can solve this part in the clinical test. There is another part in the exam, it's called community ophthalmology or community related to ophthalmology. You can solve or you can study this part from this book called Clinical Ophthalmology Made Easy, specifically chapter 21. It's called Community Ophthalmology. Then there is another part of the exam, it's called pathology. You can study it from this nice book. It's called Ocular Pathology Case Reviews. It has very good illustrations, very good quality and high quality images and histopathological slides, and it is very important and very useful in preparation for the pathology test. Okay, again, studying alone is not enough for the exam. You have also to add MCQ books and solve MCQ books. Again, MCQ books are many and you may be confused also for them. For me, I will tell you my experience. I think that the book called Massachusetts Eye and Ear Infirmary Review Manual of Ophthalmology is the most important book for preparation. You will see its index or the index of topics. It's arranged even in the same way like the ICO clinical exam. Its problem is that the questions are a bit more difficult than other books, but it is, from my opinion, it is the same difficulty as the ICO clinical actual test. So if you have good solid knowledge from your previous readings in the textbooks, then this is book you can start with immediately, and you have to go through it at least twice so that you can gather all informations and be able to comprehend them. If you are still in the start of your readings and you was intimidated by the difficulty level of review manual of ophthalmology, then you have this nice book. It's called Review Questions in Ophthalmology by Kenneth Wright. It has very good images and investigations and the clinical photos, and its difficulty level it's almost intermediate. If you are starting from scratch and you want a very basic or simple question box, then the American Academy of Ophthalmology has issued this book for you. It's called Provision, and make sure it is the last edition, which is Series 5. This book is very nice and well illustrated, but its problem is that it may give you a false sense of security, as the questions are much more easy than those that are encountered in the ICO exams. After finishing these books, you have the American Academy of Ophthalmology MCQ questions that is present at the end of each book of their basic and the clinical science course. So it is very useful and can be good for practice for the exam. Then if you have time, then this book is also has very good questions ideas called Ophthalmology Fact Fixer. It has 400 MCQs with explanatory answers. The Showa website is a friend of an ophthalmologist during all over his career. It is a MRC of website. Has plenty of tests for either the basic science and the clinical science, and it is divided into categories according to the chapters that you wanted to solve. Again, the American Academy of Ophthalmology has issued some MCQ questions called in the series called Ophthalmic Network and Education, or One Network, which is present only for Academy members, but they are present in the Telegram groups so that you can refer to them. And finally, the International Council of Ophthalmology recall questions has also been it's also present in the groups, and you can refer to them for actual real experience of the ICO clinical test. So let's now start about or talk about the application procedure. Well, you will open the ICO of ophthalmology website, which is www.icof.org. Then you will click on the ICO examinations. Then this page will open. So you will go to the first, you have to pay the fees of the ICO exams. As you can see here that the standard, the next date for the exam is the 24th of April 2019 for the standard and the advanced exam. So you have to decide which exam that you want to enter and know the fees for this exam. The fees are different from one country to the other because it is different according to whether you are going to pay by individual or group booking, or there is a coordinator in your country that is responsible for booking of this exam. So you should contact the ICO to know if there is a coordinator in your country, as this will save you a lot of money because the coordinator price or fees are much less than the actual fees on the website. For example, in Egypt we have a coordinator. So when you click on coordinator, you will first start the exam selection, or you choose the exam selection. If you are going to sit for the clinical ophthalmology part C, then you will choose clinical ophthalmology. You write 555 in this box, and then you write the coordinator details, which is Professor Dr. Mirvat Salah Murad, with her email and the Center of Egyptian Ophthalmology Society in Cairo, Egypt. Then you will click on continue to payment. Then you will enter the amount of money. In Egypt it is about 555 Swiss franc, which is about also $565 in Egypt. So you will write this amount. You will fill in your visa details and then click on submit payment. After you submit your payment, then you will be transferred to the payment receipt, which has your information. You has the coordinator details and your information, so that you can print this payment receipt to present it to your coordinator. Then you will have to download the application form from the website. Okay, so you back again to the International Council of Ophthalmology website. So you will choose the ICO examinations, and you will transfer to this page. So now you will choose forms and resources, so that you can want to now to download the application. So now you go to this page, choose standard exam, and then you will be transferred to the application form for the exam, the standard, either for the basic sciences or optics or clinical. So now you click download. When you click download, you will now have this application form. So you will download it and print it and fill it. First, you will tick the box which correspond to the exam that you want, which is for our case clinical ophthalmology. Then you will tick the box of language, which is English language for English speaking countries and those who studied in medical school in English. Then you will write the whole application with through capital letters. You write your first name as you wish to appear in the certificate, which should be the same as your passport or your other certificates, like your medical degree. If it is most of us doesn't have only his first name, so it is no problem to write your first name and the second and third names in this first category. Some would say it's mentioned its first name alone, not names, but there is no problem to write the first names, as I did this in my exam. There is no problem at all. Then it is very important that the last name only, or the surname or the family name, which is written in this space. Then you write your address, your city, and your county or state. Then the postal code, your country, and your nationality, and tick the box of your gender. Then write your telephone, your email address, your birth date, and your current place. Then you write the current place of work, which is in a hospital. Your current category is a trainee. Mention that what ICO exams that you have already passed. So if you are applying for the clinical ophthalmology, that you should have passed the ICO and the optics exam, and write the center and the date that you passed this exam. Then you will attach a copy or a copy of the passing certificate of this exam, and mention the name of the coordinator, which is responsible for your registration in your country, if you have a coordination or a coordinator registration. Then in this next page you mention the date of training on ophthalmology and the degree that you have obtained. So the master or any research degree, it is not important to mention in this application. Only mention your primary medical qualification, which is the abbreviation is MBBCH. Then mention your faculty of medicine and your university and your country. Then write down your registration number in your professional or medical registration license and the date of obtaining this license. Then tick this box if you wish to your name to appear in the ICO website, for the result to appear in their website. And finally, sign in your name and write down the date. So now you have filled the application, you have a printed application, and you have now a printout of the payment receipt on the website. So what shall you do next? Then you take this printout of the payment receipt with the application form. Then bring 2 photos with the name written on the back of them, and the copy of ICO Basic Sciences and Optics certificates, copy of your national ID or passport. If you are in Egypt, then collect all these papers in a transparent plastic paper case and send them to the Egyptian Ophthalmology Society, which is present in the Egyptian Medical Syndicate in Qasr Al Ain Street. Together with this sum of about 1,200 Egyptian pounds, which are administrative fees for the society. Now you have registered to the exam, and you now should wait for an email from them to confirm your registration. For our course, we provide 2 ICO courses. The first one, which is the Basic Sciences course, for all branches that is tested in the exam. We have Anatomy of the Eye and the Orbit and related structures. It will be for 4 lectures. The Embryology for 1 lecture. Neuroophthalmology for another lecture. Vision and Ocular Physiology 4 lectures. Pharmacology 1 lecture. Pathology 1 lecture. Genetics 1 lecture, Microbiology 1 lecture, Optics, Refraction and Instruments for 6 lectures. This is of total of 20 lectures that is being covered or explained over a period of about 2.5 months. The clinical course for the second ICO will also consist of different branches that are examined in the test. So first we have general medicine related to ophthalmology. These are the marks of this branch in the exam. So this is 20 marks. It will be covered in 2 lectures. Community and public health has only 9 marks. It will be covered in 1 lecture. Ophthalmic pathology and the tumors will be 11 marks covered in 1 lecture. Neuroophthalmology for the rest of the exam or the branches are 20 marks for each. and 2 lectures for each, for neuroophthalmology, pediatric ophthalmology and strabismus, orbit eyelids and lacrimal diseases, external disease and the cornea, intraocular inflammation and uveitis, glaucoma, lens and cataract, retina and the vitreous. So it is also a total of 20 lectures. For the course structure, the lectures are given as 2 lectures per day, one time in the week, so that it will be more convenient for those who are coming from distant areas in the on-site location, for those who are applying for on-site location in Cairo, or it will be also more convenient for those online, not as they can adjust their timetable and schedule according to this only single lecture per week or single time per week. Each lecture is about 2 hours, so it's a total of 4 hours per day. The course is available in both online and on-site form in Cairo, and the lecture will cover explanation of high-yield topics that are frequently asked in the ICO examinations and solving MCQ. So basically, the first part of the lecture will be explanation of the important topics, and the next part of the lecture, or the second part of the lecture, will be solving MCQs. There will be frequent periodic quiz and mock tests that simulate the exam style. It has been already established a WhatsApp group and the Telegram for discussion of the questions and to enroll the candidates who are registered in the course. You will see the registration form in the description below the video, so you can fill in your details and specify whether you want to apply for online or on-site course. And once you fill the form, you will be contacted through email or WhatsApp or Telegram for schedule of the course location if you are applying for on-site course, or the links for the online course, and of course the payment details. If you have any any inquiry, or you want to ask about any information about the exam, don't feel hesitated to call me or WhatsApp me through my number, and this is the email of the iCourses. So please feel free to send your inquiries or questions through this email or through WhatsApp. Thank you very much. I hope that this lecture has thrown some light and made the ICO pathway more clear to you, and I wish you the best of success in your exam and your career. Thank you very much.